The stars were quiet that night. The black of space stretched forever, cold and endless. In the middle of this silence, a small silver ship moved like a ghost. Its name was the Horizon. Inside, 5 people sat in silence. Their faces were tight with fear and curiosity. They were going to a place that did not exist on any map. Captain Ray Carter stood near the front window. The blue lights of the control room touched his serious face. He looked at the dark shape far away in space. It was a planet. A planet that the world had tried to forget. 200 years ago, this place had been erased from every file, every history, every memory. But now it was sending a signal again. A strong signal. It was almost like a voice saying, "Come back." Behind the captain, Lena the engineer checked the control screens. "Captain," she whispered, "the signal is not normal. It's not a machine, it's alive." No one answered her. Dr. Ethan adjusted his glasses. He was the scientist of the team. He stared at the glowing green code on the screen. "This planet was dead," he said slowly. "No one lives there. No one can live there." Ray didn't look away from the window. "Then why is it calling us?" The ship moved closer. The dark shape grew bigger. A pale green glow spread like fog around the planet. In the black sky it looked like a sleeping monster breathing softly. The name of the planet was written on an old record. Erebos 9. Lena pressed a button. The comm system cracked with a strange sound. A whisper came through, low and cold. It wasn't human. It wasn't machine. It was something in between. "We are waiting." Lena's hands shook. "Captain, did you hear that?" Ray's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Yes, everyone stay ready." Zane, the security officer, loaded his pulse rifle. He was the only one who didn't show fear, but inside even he felt the cold. No one liked to talk about Erebos 9. Some people said it never existed. Others said it was cursed. The ship entered the orbit. For a moment, everything was quiet again. The crew stared at the glowing world below. There were no clouds, no storms. Just a smooth, dark surface, with a single bright city in the middle. The city shined like silver fire. Ethan's mouth fell open. "But that's impossible. No human colony can survive here," Lena whispered. "Then who built that city?" A soft alarm beeped. The ship's computer spoke warning. Communication lost with command base, no signal. Ray clenched his jaw. "The planet cut our link." Zane looked at the captain. "We should turn back. This is wrong. Everyone who came here before never returned." Ray shook his head. "We are not turning back." We finished the mission. Below them, the silver city started to pulse like a heartbeat. Light moved through its towers like blood through veins. It was alive. Not in the way cities should be. It was breathing. Ethan stepped closer to the screen. His voice shook. "It's reacting to us. It knows we are here." The captain gave the landing order. "Prepare the shuttle." Lena looked at him in shock. "Are you serious?" "We don't even know what's down there." Ray's voice was steady. "That's why we're here." Minutes later, the landing shuttle detached from the main ship. It slid through the thick green fog like a small bullet. The closer they got, the stranger everything became. The air scanners showed oxygen. Too perfect. Like someone made it yesterday. Outside the window, they could see the tall silver towers. But there were no roads. No people, no sound. Only the low hum of the city itself. Zane held his weapon tighter. "I don't like this." "It's too quiet." The shuttle touched the ground. The door opened with a hiss. The first breath of air was cold and sweet. Too sweet, like candy. The ground was smooth metal. There was no dust, no wind. Ray stepped out first. His boots made a soft echo. "Stay close," he ordered. The others followed. Their steps sounded small in the huge empty city. Towers rose high above them, glowing with a soft blue light. The buildings had no doors, no windows. They looked like frozen waves. Lena scanned the air with her wrist device. "Everything here looks new." Ethan bent down and touched the ground. "But this place is supposed to be 200 years old." They walked deeper into the city. The glow followed them, as if the city itself was watching. A soft whisper floated through the air again, this time louder. "We remember you." Ethan froze. "Did you hear that?" Ray nodded slowly. His heart was beating fast, but his face stayed calm. "Yes, it's not the wind." The ground under them trembled for a second. A low sound moved through the air like thunder from underground. Lena grabbed Ray's arm. "Something is beneath us." A hidden door opened slowly near a tower. No one touched it. A staircase led down into the dark. Zane raised his weapon. Whatever is down there, it wants us to follow. Ray looked at his team. Then we follow. The whisper came one last time. Closer now, clearer. You came back and then... Silence. Only the city's heartbeat remained. The crew stood at the top of the stairs. They had a choice. Turn back or go deeper. But in their hearts they already knew. The planet did not want to be forgotten. And it was only the beginning. The stairs went down for a long time. The air grew colder with each step. The walls were smooth metal, shining like silver bones. A soft green light moved along the ceiling, guiding them deeper. No one spoke. Their footsteps were the only sound. Captain Ray walked in front. His face was calm, but his heart beat fast. Behind him, Lena, Ethan, and Zane followed in silence. The whisper from above still echoed in their minds. You came back. Zane gripped his weapon tightly. He did not trust anything on this planet. I don't like this, he whispered. This is a trap. Ray didn't look back. I know, he said softly. But we keep going. At the end of the stairs, a huge door opened on its own. A round chamber appeared. The walls were covered with strange symbols that glowed faintly. In the middle of the room stood a tall black pillar. It looked like a monument. A single line of light moved up and down its surface, like it was breathing. Lena scanned it with her wrist device. The screen flashed red. Captain, she said, this thing is not metal. It's organic. Ethan stepped closer, his eyes wide. Organic? But it looks like a machine. The pillar made a soft sound, like a heartbeat. Then something strange happened. A bright flash of light filled the room. For a second, everything turned white. When the light faded, Ethan was not in the chamber anymore. He was standing in a park. Children were laughing. The sun was shining. A little girl ran to him with a red ball in her hand. Papa, she shouted, smiling. Ethan froze. He didn't have a daughter. He didn't even have a family. He looked around. He was still wearing his spacesuit, but the world around him was warm and full of life. The girl came closer. She looked real. Her eyes were bright green, the same color as the planet's glow. Papa, she said again, why did you leave us? Ethan tried to step back, but his feet wouldn't move. A voice whispered inside his head, remember. In the real chamber, Ethan was standing still with blank eyes. His hands hung by his sides. Lena shook him. Ethan, snap out of it! But Ethan didn't answer. He was trapped somewhere else. Ray shouted, Lena, what's happening to him? She checked his vitals on the wrist screen. He's seeing something. His brain is fully active, like he's living a memory. Zane aimed his gun at the pillar. We should destroy this thing. Wait, Ray ordered. If it's controlling him, it can control us too. Before they could act, another flash of light came. This time it hit Lena. Her body went stiff. She opened her eyes and found herself in her childhood home. The old wooden floor creaked beneath her feet. Her mother's voice echoed from the kitchen, soft and warm. Lena, dinner is ready. Tears came to her eyes. She remembered this place. But it was impossible. Her mother died 10 years ago. She walked slowly to the kitchen door. Her mother stood there, smiling like nothing had ever happened. Why did you forget me? She asked gently. Why did you leave? Lena whispered. This isn't real, but the kitchen smelled real. The warm bread smelled real. The feeling in her chest was real. A soft voice filled the air again. Remember, back in the chamber, Lena was frozen too. Now only Ray and Zane were still awake. Zane looked at Ray with panic. It's pulling them into fake memories. It wants to trap us, Ray's voice was low. It's not fake. It's trying to make them remember something. The pillar's glow grew brighter. The whispers filled the chamber. Thousands of voices, crying, calling, begging to be remembered. It was like the walls themselves were alive. You left us, we remember you, remember us. Zane's hands began to shake. Captain, this thing is playing with our minds. Ray took a deep breath. Then don't listen, focus. But the whispers pushed harder. Ray felt something brush against his own thoughts. A picture flashed in his mind. A ship on fire, a planet burning, people screaming. His head throbbed. His heartbeat grew louder. Not real, he whispered to himself. Not real, Zane shouted. Captain! Ray snapped back to the room. Zane was pointing his gun at the pillar. I can end this right now. Ray stepped forward. No, it wants us to do something. Shooting it might make things worse. Zane hesitated. And what if we end up like them? The pillar made a deep sound like a drum. The floor under their feet trembled. Cracks of green light opened along the walls. The symbols began to move, shifting like living things. Ray felt the air getting heavier. The voice spoke again, louder than before. "You forgot us, but we did not forget you." Lena suddenly gasped and fell to the floor. Her eyes were wide open. She was breathing fast, shaking. Ray ran to her. "Lena, are you okay?" She grabbed his arm with trembling hands. "I saw people. A city burning. They were screaming." It felt real. Ethan also blinked awake. Sweat covered his face. "I saw a girl. She said I left her here." Ray looked at both of them. His face was pale. "This planet is not just alive. It's inside our minds," Zane whispered. "It's a memory trap." Ray nodded slowly. "Yes, it wants us to remember what everyone else tried to forget." The pillar pulsed again like a living heart. Outside the chamber, something moved in the darkness. Heavy steps echoed through the halls. The planet was not done with them. This was only the beginning. The silence in the chamber felt heavier now. The green cracks on the wall glowed like veins under skin. The whispering voices slowly faded, but the fear in everyone's eyes stayed. Captain Ray looked at his team. Lena was breathing hard. Ethan was pale and shaking. Zane still pointed his weapon at the black pillar. They were all still inside the trap. But awake now, Ray's voice was steady. "We're moving. We can't stay here." No one argued. They wanted to get out of that room. The whispers were still in their heads, soft like a memory that refused to disappear. They climbed down the dark tunnel connected to the other side of the chamber. This tunnel was different. The walls were not smooth metal anymore. They were stone, rough and old. Symbols were carved into every surface. Some looked like stars, some like faces, some like screaming mouths. Lena shivered. "This doesn't look like a human structure," Ethan whispered. "But it is. I've seen these shapes before. In old colonial archives." Zane frowned. "I thought all records about this place were destroyed." Ethan nodded slowly. "Exactly. But some stories never die." The tunnel opened into a huge underground hall. Their small lights touched tall stone pillars, broken statues and wide stairs that led down to a sunken city. It stretched far below the surface, bigger than anything they had seen on Earth. The air smelled old. The silence was thick. Lena whispered, "How can this city be here? And no one remembers it?" Ray walked forward slowly. His boots echoed in the empty hall. "Someone wanted us to forget. But this place, it never left." They moved through the ruins carefully. Cracked buildings stood like skeletons. Statues of men, women, and children lined the streets. But they were not made of stone. They looked too real. Faces frozen in fear, in pain, in silence. Ethan stopped in front of one statue. It was a woman holding a child. Tears had been carved into her cheeks. He touched it with his glove. It was cold, but something strange pulsed under the surface. A faint warmth, Lena whispered. "Ethan." "Don't touch it." Ethan stepped back. "These are not statues. These were people." Zane's eyes widened. "What?" Ray turned to face them. "The colony didn't disappear. It was turned into this." The whispering returned, not in their ears, but inside their heads. "We remember." Lena covered her ears. "Stop it!" But there was no sound to block. The voices came from the walls, the ground, the air. From the planet itself, Ethan's wrist screen started flashing. "Captain, I'm getting a pulse. Under the city. Something alive is down there." Zane looked down the cracked streets, his finger on the trigger. "Then we don't go closer." But Ray was already walking forward. "No, we have to know." They followed him through broken streets until they reached a massive gate. It was covered in glowing patterns like moving light. The whispers grew louder. The gate slowly opened on its own. Behind the gate was a round chamber, much larger than the one with the pillar. The ceiling was covered with strange machinery and floating metal rings. In the center was a huge crystal sphere, pulsing like a beating heart. Inside the sphere, there were faces. Hundreds of faces, floating, shifting, screaming silently. Lena stepped back in horror. "What is that?" Ethan's voice trembled. "I think that's the colony." Zane's grip tightened on his weapon. "You mean all of them are inside that thing?" Ethan nodded slowly. "The colony was never destroyed. It was absorbed." The sphere pulsed again. The faces turned toward the crew. And then a voice filled the room. This time it wasn't a whisper. It was clear, deep and powerful. "You left us to die." The voice made the floor shake. The sphere glowed brighter. The statues outside began to crack. Ray shouted over the noise. "Who are you?" "We are Erevos. We are the lost," Ethan whispered to himself. "It's the planet." The sphere showed visions, a burning sky, ships leaving the surface, people screaming for help, explosions. The colony being erased from every map, every record. A voice from Earth Command saying, "This place must never exist." Lena covered her mouth. "They abandoned them." The sphere's voice grew louder. "You erased us." "But we remained. We became one. This is our memory. This is our revenge," Zane shouted. "We had nothing to do with it." The sphere answered, cold and calm. "You came back. Now you will remember." Green light exploded from the sphere. It wrapped around them like smoke. It burned, but it was cold at the same time. Their minds filled with the colony's last day. Every scream, every fire, every heartbeat of a dying world. Ray fell to his knees. His vision blurred. He saw the planet as it was centuries ago. Alive, full of people, full of hope. And then he saw humans leaving, shutting the gates. Forgetting the planet, Lena screamed. Zane cursed. Ethan cried silently. The light slowly faded. The sphere went dark again. But the images remained inside their heads like scars. Ray stood slowly. His voice was shaking. "This isn't just a planet. It's a living memory." Lena looked around with wide, frightened eyes. "Captain, we can't fight something like this." Zane raised his weapon. "Then we run." But the gate behind them closed with a loud crash. Green symbols lit up again. The whisper returned. No one leaves. The city came alive. Lights burned through the streets. The statues turned their heads slowly toward the crew. The lost civilization had woken up, and it remembered everything. The green light filled the air like smoke. The statues moved slowly, their stone faces twisting toward the crew. The gate behind them was locked. The whispers became louder, stronger, almost like screams inside their heads. "No one leaves." Captain Ray gritted his teeth. "Weapons ready," he said, his voice sharp. Zane aimed his pulse rifle at the nearest statue. Lena and Ethan stood close together, their eyes wide with fear. The underground city was no longer silent, and it was alive. The walls shook like the planet itself was breathing. One of the statues cracked open. It wasn't just stone. Inside was a human face, pale, frozen, but still moving. A woman's lips opened slowly. A soft voice came out. "You left us." Zane fired. The pulse beam hit the statue, shattering it into pieces. But as the dust fell, the broken pieces moved like insects and came together again. The woman's face reformed, smiling coldly. Lena gasped. "That's impossible." Ray shouted, "Move back!" The ground cracked beneath their feet. Green light shot up from the cracks, wrapping around their legs like roots. It felt cold and alive. Ethan screamed as the light touched his skin through the suit. Images hit his mind again. The burning colony, people screaming, the ships leaving. Lena tried to cut the green light with a tool, but it felt like cutting smoke. The more she tried, the tighter it got. Ethan fell to the ground, his body shaking. His voice was not his anymore. "We will never be forgotten." Ray knelt next to him. "Ethan, fight it!" But Ethan's eyes were glowing green now. The planet was inside him. Zane fired again at the light, but it had no effect. "Captain, it's not working." "It's inside us!" The city's heartbeat grew louder. Boom! 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 The crystal sphere in the chamber pulsed like a living heart, and the entire underground hall responded. Lights turned on one by one, illuminating streets, towers, and faces. The lost colony was awake. Lena's voice trembled. "It's controlling everything. Even us," Ray clenched his fists. "Then we stop letting it control us." He turned toward the sphere. "That's where it's coming from." Zane understood. "You want to go inside that thing?" Ray's jaw tightened. "I don't want to, but we don't have a choice." They moved together toward the massive crystal sphere in the center. The statues followed slowly behind them, like silent soldiers. Ethan walked in front, but he wasn't himself anymore. His voice was calm, cold. "Why do you fight? You erased us. Now we are your memory," Lena whispered. "Ethan, please." Ethan didn't answer. He just kept walking toward the sphere like a puppet. The green energy from the ground pushed Ray and Lena backward. It felt like the planet itself was trying to keep them away. Zane jumped forward and fired his rifle at the roots. The ground cracked. For a moment the light loosened. "Now!" Ray shouted. They ran through the glowing dust and reached Ethan. Ray grabbed his shoulders and shook him hard. "You're stronger than this. Fight it!" For a second, Ethan's eyes flickered between green and normal. He whispered, "It's so loud." Ray shouted, "Then make it silent." Ethan fell to his knees, gasping. The planet's voice screamed through him. "You can't escape us. We are in your blood." The sphere suddenly exploded with a bright flash. A wave of energy threw them all back. The statues screamed. The underground city shook like an earthquake. Lena covered her ears. "Captain, it's going to crush us." Ray coughed, struggling to stand. His head spun, but his mind was clear. "No, it's fighting." The sphere changed shape. It was no longer just a crystal. It was turning into a face, a giant human-like face made of light and shadow. Its eyes glowed brighter than anything they had ever seen. "We were human once," the face said. "But you turned us into ghosts." Ray shouted back, "That wasn't us. It was centuries ago. You carry their name, so you carry their guilt." The sphere unleashed another wave. Zane fired at it with full power. The light shattered in places, but quickly reformed. It was like fighting a storm with bullets. Lena ran to a nearby console, half buried in the floor. "Captain!" "I think this is connected to the core. If I overload it, maybe we can shut it down." Ray nodded. "Do it." Zane covered her, firing at anything that moved. Ethan struggled to his feet, fighting the voice inside him. "I can help," he whispered weakly. Lena's fingers flew across the panel. Sparks exploded. The light grew unstable. The voice screamed, "No! You will remember us." Ray ran to the sphere. The light burned his skin through the suit, but he didn't stop. He placed his hand against it. The moment he touched the surface, thousands of memories hit him like fire. He saw the colony's last day, bombs falling, ships flying away, children crying. The people of Erevos were abandoned, erased, forgotten. And now the planet was their grave. And their weapon. Ray shouted, "We didn't do this, but we will remember you." The sphere froze for a second. The light flickered. The screaming stopped. Lena yelled, "Captain, it's working!" But before they could breathe, the voice whispered again, soft and cold, "If you remember. Then you belong to us." The ground split open. A deep, glowing pit appeared under the sphere. The entire city began to collapse. Zane screamed, "Captain, we need to leave!" Now Ray pulled Ethan up. Lena grabbed the data core from the console. The statues were falling, the walls breaking. But the voice followed them. "No one escapes memory." They ran through the shaking tunnel as the city died behind them. Dust and light chased them like a wave. Above their heads the planet roared. Erevos was not done. The tunnel shook like a living thing. Dust fell from the ceiling. The green light chased the crew like a rising storm. Behind them, the underground city of Erevos collapsed piece by piece. The whispers filled the air again. No one escapes memory. Captain Ray ran at the front, pulling Ethan by the arm. Lena held the data core tight against her chest. Zane covered the rear with his weapon, even though he knew the rifle couldn't stop a planet. The door to the surface came into view, a metal circle glowing faint blue. Hope flickered in their eyes, but the ground cracked open before they could reach it. A giant hand of green energy rose from the floor, blocking their path. Zane fired. The energy just rippled and grew stronger. Lena screamed, "It won't let us go!" Ray clenched his jaw. "We finish this now." The entire hall filled with the voice of Erevos, "You remember? So you belong to us." The floor split open completely. Beneath it, a deep, glowing pit burned like the heart of the planet. The air turned heavy. The whisper became a roar. Ray looked down into the pit. He could feel it, the consciousness of Erevos. It was not just a planet. It was a collective mind, made of thousands of forgotten voices. And it wanted one thing, to never be forgotten again. Ethan's breathing grew fast. "Captain?" "Oh, it's pulling me again." Ray turned to Lena. "The data core. Can it transmit?" She nodded, hands shaking. "Yes, but we need time." "And power." Ray looked at the pit. "Then I'll give it a reason to listen." He stepped toward the glowing edge. Zane shouted, "Are you crazy?" Ray's voice was calm. "This is the only way." He jumped down. Lena screamed, "Ray!" The green light swallowed him. His body floated inside the pit like a leaf in a storm, his helmet filled with bright visions. He saw the last day of Erebos again. The ships leaving, the sky burning, the children crying. But this time the voices spoke to him directly. "You abandoned us, you erased our name, you will carry our pain." Ray shouted, "I am not the one who left you, but I hear you. I will not erase you again." The light trembled. Thousands of faces formed around him, old colonists, men, women, children. Their eyes glowed like stars. "You cannot leave." Ray's voice grew stronger. "You can keep me, but you can't keep them." Above the pit, Zane grabbed Ethan. "We can't just stand here." Ethan was weak but determined. "We can send the signal. Make the galaxy remember." Lena slammed the data core into the floor console. Sparks flew, power rerouting. Almost there. The whisper grew louder as the planet realized what they were doing. The tunnel cracked. Statues crawled out of the walls. The ground tilted. Zane shouted, "Lena, just a few more seconds." She screamed. Ethan leaned against the console, pressing buttons with shaking hands. Come on, come on." The data core came to life. A bright beam shot into the air like a lighthouse. The signal began to travel far beyond Erebos, toward the stars. "No," the planet's voice roared. "We must not be forgotten," Lena yelled back. "That's the point." Inside the pit, Ray saw the faces around him change. They were angry but also afraid. For 200 years, the only thing they had was silence. Now the silence was breaking. Ray whispered, "You wanted to be remembered. Now you will be." The light around him pulsed, shaking violently. It didn't know whether to destroy or to hope. Then the largest face, an old woman with green eyes, appeared in front of him. "If they remember, we can rest." Ray nodded slowly. "Yes, you can rest." The face looked at him for a long moment. Then it whispered, "Go." The green light released him. He shot upward like a spark flying out of the pit. Zane caught him by the arm, pulling him back onto the collapsing floor. Lena's voice was loud. "Signal is out. Everyone will know what happened here." The planet's voice faded into a soft echo. "We will not be forgotten." The green light dimmed. The giant hand of energy slowly sank back into the ground. The statues froze again. The heartbeat of the planet grew quiet. For the first time since they arrived, there was silence. The crew rushed toward the ship. The surface was dark but calm. The sky above Erebos was full of stars. Lena looked up and whispered, "They'll all know now." Every system, every world. Ethan sat down on the ramp, exhausted. "We didn't defeat it," he said softly. "We set it free." Zane gave a short, tired laugh. "Yeah, I'll take that over dying." Ray looked back at the silent city. His helmet visor reflected the glowing towers one last time. He whispered to himself, "No one should ever forget again." The horizon lifted off the ground, leaving the sleeping planet behind. The signal spread across space, a story written in light, a memory that would never die. Far below, deep inside the planet's core, the last whisper echoed softly. "Thank you." Erebos finally rested.